welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to another one in my canal series. In fact, it's another part looking at the Wilts Berks Canal. In fact, a recently reopened section that's in progress. We'll have a look at that. I'll tell you, it'll all become clear. The Wilts Berks Canal is just up here. I'm in the town of Swindon. And below the canal you have this open space, which I don't know what the original purposes of it was. So it's on an embankment there. We'll have a look at the canal in a moment. And you have these two stones here. I mean, this one here looks a bit like a gravestone, but I'm not aware of any other gravestones in this area. I will check the maps when I do the edit. And this one here is almost like a tabletop, which is a large slab of, I think, limestone, supported by a couple of old railway sleepers, common in this part of the world, being Swindon and its former GWR Works, of course. But yeah, I thought I'd show you that. I've no idea. So if you're a volunteer for the Wilts Berks Canal Trust here in Swindon or hereabouts, do you know anything about these, and do they have any connection to the canal that's just up the bank? Let's join the canal now. Wilts Berks Canal then. Act of Parliament was passed in 1795. Construction started in 1796 and it was completed in 1810 by father and son team Robert and William Whitworth, and it runs from Abingdon upon Thames, where it meets the River Thames, to the Sennington Basin there, where it joins the Kennet and Avon Canal. Now here, lots of things going on with the trust, so what we want to look at is the work that's taking place a bit further down at Wichelstowe, because there's much happening down there at the moment. And then we're going to have a look at something that's a little bit controversial at the old Oasis site. Now, Oasis, I think, was built in the 1970s. Large leisure centre. It's actually quite distinctive because it's round. And Swindon Borough Council want to develop that site. It has been closed for a number of years. They want to reopen again. But in the process of doing so, it'll actually cut across the line of not the Wilts Berks Canal, but the North Wilts Canal. And that was the key link that linked the Wilts Berks to the Thames and Severn Canal, heading in a northerly direction. I need to do a separate video about that another day. But yeah, so it meets here in Swindon, heads up north, and that will ruin the line of it to prevent it being restored in the future. Anyway, let's head down this way, going underneath the Skew Bridge on the former Midland and South Western Junction Railway. Now, the railway, Midland and South Western Junction, I have done a separate video going through this section, done a couple of other videos on that railway as well. So if you're interested about that, then I'll link to that video at the end of this one. But suffice to say, a bit further on, underneath the Skew Bridge, there is a little bit of a problem. Well, in fact, there's two problems. One of them is to do with the bank, which has been collapsing slightly around this area here. We'll have a look out for that. Another bit around Bevans or Bevans Bridge. You can see the first part of the problem here, and some remedial work that's already been done by the ever busy Wilts Berks Canal Trust, working on many sections of the entire route from Semmington to Abingdon. But this section here, obviously done by the Swindon group of the volunteers. If you'd like to help any of the section at all, I'll put a link to the Wilts Berks Canal Trust in the description of today's video. So yes, so recently this started to collapse here. There's a towpath, there's the Midland South Western Junction Railway Skew Bridge. This bit's recently collapsed with obviously the heavy rain that we've had over the winter period. And yes, so they put in some temporary netting and wooden stakes along there to prevent the whole towpath going in. So already put some good on that. They've used some puddling clay there. You can see that bluey grey clay that they've done there, which is a traditional method, of course, for lining a canal bed. So the bank here, this section here, is actually a trial, and they've got some planting to do on that. And if it's successful, they'll be extending that all the way to Kingsale. Kingsail's where this section becomes in water. From north of there into the town centre, of course, it's all been developed and filled in. But yeah, it'll be great to see. Hopefully that'll work out and then it'll be extended. But they are obviously asking for volunteers to help with that so they can extend it and improve the stability of the towpath for generations to come. But we're going to carry on this way to Bevans or Bevans Bridge. So yeah, put in the description which is correct, because I really don't know. And the Skew Bridge is lit a lot better from this side this time of the morning, just as those couple of mallards are coming through well, 3 of them actually, a brace of mallards coming underneath the skew bridge there. That's really nice bit of sunlight here today as well. It was quite foggy when I left home. Just a short trip on the train here and a walk through the town to get to this part of the Wilts Berks Canal. But this section along here, there is a problem to do with land ownership, and that's to do with it's an ancient covenant going back to when the canal was built, and the landowner hereabouts. And coming up here, there'll be a bit of string across the canal because the landowner is concerned that he'll be responsible for insurance if anything happens on the canal in this area. Somebody on a boat coming to some misadventure and he'll be claiming on his land. So they've been trying to sort out that problem for some time here on the Wilts and Berks, but I think they are now starting to make progress with it. So this bit here on the Wilts and Berks is actually a small aqueduct, although it doesn't actually look like it from this bit. Obviously we're on a high embankment. If I just come around to put it into perspective, you can see round here. So we've got the stream there and the footpath goes there. So we're on quite a bit above the surrounding land there. And you can see, if I go down this way, see the water going underneath the canal down there. Through that way. Let's go down and have a look at that properly. But they have been doing a fair bit of work on this section to bank it up on that side to prevent the canal collapsing over there. Obviously we know all about collapses with canals recently, particularly with the Bridgewater Canal in northwest England, and they've done a lot of work to prevent that happening here. So this is the face of the aqueduct here, which is like a 2-bore channel to allow the water to go underneath, obviously constructed at some point between the late 18th century and when the canal opened. Exact date of construction I don't know, but it's certainly obviously well over 200 years old, and recently the Canal Trust volunteers have cleared the top of it to prevent any deterioration to the brickwork supporting the canal, which is just up there. So this is the infamous section just south of Skew Bridge and north of Bevans or Bevans Bridge, where the canal is closed because of the issue to do with the landowner on the opposite side of the canal there, the other side of the hedgerow. It doesn't look like it has been sorted as yet because obviously the barrier is still there and the sign's in place, but I will keep you updated on that. So I'm now standing underneath Bevans or Bevans Bridge, and this marks the end of the blockade, so it's everything north of there to where you saw that pole in the canal. I just think that's a lovely scene and a very attractive bridge over the Wilts and Berks Canal, restored with some lottery money, I think towards the end of the 1990s. So this is a very useful map here. This is the original line of the Wilts and Berks coming down here, so I've walked down from right at the heart of Swindon from the railway station, following it from Kingshill, continues down here. We'll be going up to Waitrose shortly, and there is a section there which I did a boat trip on back last year. I'll link to that video as well. But our new section is along here, where they started to do, there's going to be a junction there that hasn't been built yet, but it's along here where you've got the East Witchel Lakes. In fact, this is a whole entire development here, done with Barratt Homes, David Wilson Homes and Swindon Borough Council. So it's like a new community on the southern edge of Swindon with the M4 there. And the other thing to point out, that this section here coming through is the original section, so there's going to be a new bridge underneath the M4. We'll have a look at that. But this bit isn't a restoration, this is entirely new to get around Swindon, of course, because they can't reopen the section that goes through the town centre because of all the developments that have happened since the 1960s. The canal, of course, closed in 1914. Of course, much has happened since then. So here we are back in Wichelstowe. They've done a good job with the restoration. It reminds me a little bit of what they did with the Stroudwater Canal just outside of Stroud in Gloucestershire, when they did that in the late 1990s to the mid-2000s, the mid-noughties, when you've got those buildings here. So they've done a very similar concept here to get the buildings to look a bit like canal wharf side buildings, and it's a pretty attractive place, has to be said. So I'm coming up to the Hall and Woodhouse pub here at Wichelstowe, which is always attractive, and it's good to see Dragonfly again. She's just on the other side of the canal here. So this bit here is the original line of the Wilts and Berks. There's Dragonfly. As it passes through Swindon, as I say, linking north to the North Wilts and the Thames and Severn Canal, this way would go down and then kind of bear, well, as I'm looking at it, in the southerly direction to the right in the direction of Royal Wootton Bassett, where there's a restored section there at Templar Firs, which I did look at a little bit of a while ago. And of course what they want to do is restore that section so you've got a greenway and a waterway route between this southern part of Swindon directly to Royal Wootton Bassett, so people could walk and commute and cycle between the two towns, which would be really good to take off pressure off our very, very congested road network. There is no railway station in Royal Wootton Bassett, but there was, but you know, I'm not going to go in that. This is not a railway series one, but yeah, you know. But yeah, this is really, really pleasant today, especially on a day like today. So we're going to walk it down here as far as we can, and then we're going to trace across looking at the new section, which, bear in mind, isn't a restored section. It's entirely new to bring this across in the direction of Abingdon. So this in effect will become a bit of a stub heading in the direction of Swindon town centre. There will be no through route heading in a northerly direction. So yeah, it's entirely to give Swindon a waterway. So the through route will be further south of here, following this new line, which I'm about to show you now. So just looking down there, that's a dead end at the moment, but it hopefully soon won't be. But last time I think I scrabbled up the bank and followed the line across, but looks like there's some fences in there now, so we won't be able to do that. So we're going to head over on the other side there on the footbridge over the canal and then pick it up from there. So it is quite a big construction project here. Got a cement mixer coming towards me now, but it's just along here. As you can see, all the development works and things being dug out. It's a bit difficult to work out what's going on with pipes and drainage going in. We need to make our way over towards that roundabout with a funny thing in the middle of it. Now, first of all, apologise for the traffic noise because I'm close to the M4, which you might be able to see on the left of your screen. I'm on Mill Lane on a bridge which goes over the M4, and this down here is going to be the new line of the Wilts and Berks Canal, new route linking up with the section we've just seen coming out through Wichelstowe even, which will then be travelling in a westerly direction and then heading underneath the M4 and joining up with the existing section of the town of Royal Wootton Bassett. Let's have a look what we can see on the other side of the road. So again, we've got the M4 whizzing away to the right hand side of the screen. I'll put a map in now, but directly in front of me is the new route of the Wilts and Berks Canal, which will join up to a section that has been done previously on development here. I think it's a place called East Witchel, or Witchel, I think it's Witchel. And we're going to have a look down that. And last time I was down here, about probably 2 years ago, again, apologise for the traffic noise, a lot of it was flooded. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get and see something a little bit closer. But yeah, standing on the new route, as yet, of course, the most obvious thing, there is no bridge here. So it's two separate sections. But hopefully at one point there will be a bridge somewhere down there to link the two together. Now, if you are a member of the Trust, Wilts and Berks Canal Trust, maybe able to help me out here, particularly if you live in the Swindon area. I'm looking at a roundabout which is between Witchel Fields and the Orchards, and in a Facebook post posted on New Year's Eve by the Wilts and Berks Canal Trust, it says something about there is a section of canal which has already been constructed underneath a roundabout hereabouts, but it doesn't specify which one. Now, is it this one? I'm not sure. I can't work out the line of the canal if that is the case, but if you can point me and my viewers in the right directions to say which roundabout has got the canal already there underneath it, please drop a comment below. Thank you. So our new section of the Wilts Berks, sorry about the lighting, it's not great from this angle, but it's over there in the sun. That was the case. That's next to the M4, so it's running parallel. I can see that being cut through. In fact, there's some diggers working up a bit closer to it. Just discovered this new walkway through a wood which runs parallel to a new road here on the edge of Wichelstowe. I'm not sure if I'm in Wichelstowe or East Witchel here at the moment, but making a way off now from Mill Lane, heading a look for the section that's already been cut through, which is really exciting, isn't it? So it's very pleasant, this bit here. That's probably looking a bit better, isn't it? Walking through Swindon. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're on the edge of a large conurbation here. Swindon is a very large town. I can't remember the population. Is it probably now? It's getting up for 300,000. It's a very big town. Of course, it's not actually in Wiltshire as such, because it is a unitary authority unto itself, although it is in the ceremonial county of Wiltshire. But yeah, this is a really good development to see this, and it's quite a good visionary for that. Now the plan is to actually extend it a bit further into the heart of Swindon town centre. Oh, there's a pond down there as well. There, which is great. Wasn't expecting to see ponds here in Swindon today, so that was unexpected delight. Yeah, so it's great to be had that. There will be could revive the town centre's fortunes, but it all impinges on that development at the Oasis and extending it north onto the North Wilts as well. So I do hope that can go ahead. There was a petition, unfortunately it's closed now. There was a petition, I think it closed on the 17th of January, which I signed. I did put it on my Facebook group. Thank you if you did sign that, to stop them building that new development, the Oasis. I'm not sure why they have to do that to reopen what's already there. I don't quite understand that. Again, if you know why they have to make it bigger to reopen it, please drop a line. I just don't know why it just can't be redeveloped, refurbished, if you know what I mean, and reopened. But I think it's been something that's been rumbling on for some considerable time, as these things do with councils. Anyway, let's go on down through this delightful little bit of woodland, but you'll hear lots of banging and crashing now because we are close to the site where they're doing that development work. So now I'm on Foxham Way, on the bridge over the Wilts Berks Canal there, looking back towards Mill Lane. That's the lorry going down the bank there, Mill Lane. That's where I was standing earlier on. You can see the route where the line of the canal is going to be dug here now, very, very clearly. I'm working on that this morning. Let's look on the other side of the bridge. Now, this is the lock, which has been restored, and a lot of work taken place on this since last time I was here, which is really good to see. And I think the lock, obviously it's a new lock and new lock gates, relatively speaking, but last time all of this was under water, including right up to the top of the light. So they've improved the drainage flow on this section of the Wilts Berks Canal. So this is the lock here, which, as I say, last time I was here was all completely underwater. And again, apologies for the light, because all the bits I want to show you are in the wrong position as far as the sun is concerned at the moment. But yeah, this looks like, although it's a new section of a canal, brand new canal in fact, because it's not doing the original line of the Wilts Berks, it has the air of something that's been completely abandoned, which is really, really odd for something that's only a few years old. But once it's connected up that side and through the other end, this will be completely redone and the whole thing will be connected. It'll be great to see boats going through here, won't it? And it will provide a wonderful community space as well. But the towpath is here. It's good to have that, which is good. And yeah, so this is just a wonderful section here in Swindon. An abandoned new section of canal. It's really odd, isn't it? But yeah, so last time it was looking dreadful. There's been lots of clearance. You can see some clay down there. So they've been doing some dredging work on the canal, which is great. and it's great that this has been restored, and hopefully when this is connected up, ready for it to go through. And then also, once that M4 bridge has gone in, a section all the way through to the existing restored sections over there in Royal Wootton Bassett. So this section at East Witchel is looking a lot better than it was last time I was here. There was sections here where there was no water in it and sections with flood. It's now got water completely into it. So I'm going to walk on here a bit further because it was not great last time, and it's great to see it on a nice sunny day, water in it and the wildlife on it, and a real boost for this part of South Swindon. So this here at Yelland Walk is the end of the route of the new section of the Wilts and Berks here for the southern part of the town of Swindon. Got a large winding hole here, but behind me here is a bridge. Bridge is there, but that's where the canal ends for the time being. Of course, all the efforts now will be on the M4 bridge and linking up the canal in this section towards the town of Royal Wootton Bassett, which I say will be a nice green and waterland corridor linking the two towns together. That'd be fantastic. Not the end of the video though, because what I'm going to do now, put my camera away, I'm going to walk back into the town centre following the old M&WSJR, that one, to Old Town, what is known as Old Town, wasn't then, but what is now known as Old Town, and then making my way to the site of the Oasis bit, having all that. It's not going to be very scenic, I wouldn't have thought, so you can see where the line of the North Wilts Canal was and what that is all about in that section there. So I hope you can join me in a bit. Well, I've just come back outside the town centre in a place called the Works. Obviously this was part of Swindon's huge railway workshops car park up there now. I think one of them is called Shop A and Shop B. Not sure if that's replicating the original. And we're going to go down there. I'm on what's called the Western Flyer. There's an underpass on there, goes underneath all of the main railway tracks. There's a map here, so as you can see there, the Works here, that's where I'm at the moment, centre of the circle there, Swindon railway station, and we're going to head over this direction, which will take us to a part of Swindon called North Star, where there's lots of developments going on, and that links into our North Wilts Canal story. Remember, it linked up with the Wilts and Berks right in the centre of Swindon, what is now called Canal Walk or thereabouts. It's a huge construction site there. They're actually building a new bus station. Well, they're not going to call it a bus station, are they? Of course, these days they're going to call it a bus interchange. So that's happening down there. So there's nothing to see in terms of canals. Well, anyway, we're going to head along here now, under the underpass towards North Star. Just absolutely love that mural there with the North Wilts Canal featured on it and appropriately called the Works. Now the North Wilts branch of the canal joined up with the Wilts Berks Canal near what was Debenhams department store. Obviously that's closed now. Going past the town of Cricklade, the first town on the River Thames, and joining up with the Thames and Severn Canal at Latton. In fact, we will do a separate video we do a couple of them actually, to exploring the lengths of that. There is a section at Malden Hill Country Park there, not far from the railway there, on the reserve line on the old Midland South Western Junction Railway. And the Cricklade branch of the Wilts Berks Canal Trusts are maintaining that. There are no present plans, however, to restore this section that I'm walking through here at North Star in Swindon. I say present because, of course, there could be a future opportunity to do that very thing. Now, what we saw back down in South Swindon there at Wichelstowe, we've got a nice arrangement there with some new housing, beautiful line of canal. Just imagine if this was like this here in North Swindon, here at North Star. Now we're coming along here, obviously the line of the canal at the moment is preserved, and in fact after the canal opened in 1820, the GWR workshops just back there in the main line were being built in the 1840s, and the goods, the bricks and all the raw materials that were required by the Great Western Railway to build the works here at Swindon were actually transported along the North Wilts Canal, and it was later that the GWR effectively meant the end of both the North Wilts Canal and the Wilts and Berks in Swindon. So yeah, kind of biting the hand that feeds and all that kind of stuff, yes. But yeah, they brought the goods in literally 20 or so years after the North Wilts was completed, joining up with the Wilts and Berks here in Swindon. But yeah, let's continue along here to see what the issue is. So as you can see, this is a really good walkway for both walkers and cyclists to link North Swindon to the town centre, which is just literally about 10-15 minutes walk back that way through the underpass. One of the interesting things I noticed here are these hooks, which are obviously to hold up some cables at some point. You can just imagine the canal here and the expansive GWR workshops to the right and to the left, Swindon town centre there on, but I'm not exactly sure what they would be for. Perhaps for telegraph cables, because normally on a canal you have the posts, telegraph posts following along the towpath, but because you have the bricks here on the side of what was the workshops, you couldn't have them, so perhaps that acted as a substitute for poles. Now earlier on in the video we had that scenic bit around Wichelstowe and East Wichel, and following the line of the Wilts and Berks down from Kings Hill. This section here though is completely different. This is a really quite an urban landscape that has been completely abandoned and neglected, well, sadly by councils, there's no other way of putting it. This was the Oasis leisure centre with its dome there, which made it stand out. It was very, very sought after that. The whole area is now just an entire wasteland. It did have at one time really, really good facilities for swimming. You can see slides there on the outside of the building there, and the whole area has just become neglected. There were sites here for parking, and the whole of this area is going to become part of the North Star development. Now our North Wilts Canal, I've just walked up, is just in the cutting just down there as we came through that underpass where the canal went underneath the railway. But they've got plans to develop over all of this. And like at Wichelstowe, where the canal, the line of the canal has been taken into account, the original line, and a new section of the canal going underneath the M4, unfortunately when this is redeveloped here at North Star, the old Oasis site, potentially they could build over the line of the North Wilts. Now, though, as I say, it's not going to be restored as yet. If it's been completely built over, like the line of the canal has been built over both canals in the centre of Swindon, it'll mean forever that it can never be restored again, and that connection to the town centre heading up to Cricklade will be lost forever. Now, one thing you have got on the line of the canal here are these incredible gates with both the pillars on the right and the left. Now, I don't know if these are to do with the North Wilts Canal directly, or they have some connection to the GWR Railway Works. I've just looked again at these gates and they actually open that way. So I'm now standing on the canal side here, what was the North Wilts Canal. They opened that way, so they would have been an entrance gate to whatever was on the site of the Oasis Leisure Centre before the Oasis Leisure Centre was built. I'll see if I can find an OS map. So it probably was a factory in this area leading off the towpath, and perhaps there was a wharf here at one time. Now, I've just come through an underpass, which obviously is not an original North Wilts Canal bridge, and I think the route went through this area here, which is an old industrial site, so it kind of came through here. How do I know I'm still on the line? Well, if you have a look at the bottom of the gardens here, you can see they run at a diagonal section there, and of course what they're running in parallel to is the canal. So I think this is the line of our North Wilts Canal, and the gardens originally of these houses here would have backed onto the line of the canal. Now, I think the canal carries along there. We'll go along there a little bit. And here, where I'm standing on the moment, would have been a humpback bridge. So we've got housing down there, and you can see it's going down a gradient, and it's going down a gradient in that direction there. So there's been a humpback bridge over the canal in this area here. Of course, it's been infilled. Bridge long gone. There's nothing here to show a sign of the bridge, but we'll just follow the line, what I think is the North Wilts, down this embankment as far as we can go. Well, that's it for today here on West Country Wanderings, finishing an urban area. Well, it's all been in an urban area today, really, isn't it? A two-part video, really, a tale of two parts, looking at an entirely new section that's being done right now in the southern part of the town of Swindon, large urban conurbation, and this original section of the North Wilts Canal, connecting Swindon and the Wilts Berks Canal up to the Thames and Severn. Of course, very familiar with that here on West Country Wanderings, aren't we? As I say, I will do a couple of videos looking at the North Wilts in more detail, other sections of it around Cricklade and making its way up to Latton. But I hadn't seen that section before as we got down there from North Star, going underneath the railway, what was the railway workshops of the GWR. So that was really interesting. It's quite a derelict site, isn't it, the Oasis Leisure Centre, and it certainly needs doing, but they could really take the canal line into account to really develop that, like they've done down at Wichelstowe, which has been a really good success, making it a very pleasant residential area, place people like to go to with that hall and wood house there, people chilling out there. And of course you've got the boat rides on the wonderful boat Dragonfly. Until next time, West Country Wanderings, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.